Hi Capricorn, Rosemary from Rosemary Astrology, and welcome to your October 2024 astrology. Let's start with the new moon eclipse because that is probably the big story this month. Eclipses come in pairs in the spring and the fall, so we had one in September. This, of course, is the next one in October. Let me give you the details first. It is on the 2nd of October at 2:45 p.m. Remember, I'm always in Eastern Time at 10 degrees of Libra. You might hear new moon eclipse or solar eclipse. It's the same thing. This is happening in your 10th house. This is the highest point in your chart. This is the midhaven, the cusp of the 10th house. So this is where you are most visible to others. This is where you seek success, that idea of public success. So an award, an achievement, a new title, that idea of climbing the corporate ladder, I always say, but it doesn't necessarily have to be career related. This is also people in authority over us, the idea of like government authority, parental authority, but also the people who outrank us on this ladder of success. So bosses, higher ups, supervisors. An eclipse always marks a change. You know, we say a fated change. The wheels are set in motion, but because of the idea of shadow with an eclipse, it's happening in darkness and we can't see it yet. So do, as I always say, hold off on making choices, making a decision, taking sides. You know, if something comes up, try to hold off because you are not privy to all the facts. They could be concealed from you. Maybe, you know, nobody knows them yet. So, of course, you don't know them yet, but you're operating in the dark type of thing. You can't see everything clearly. I would say easily, if you can, give yourself a week on either side because the energy does begin to build before that and die down after. Because it's a new moon eclipse, there's the idea of something starting, but I find, you know, when something starts, often it's because something ends. So I see it as really two sides of the same coin. Last month's eclipse was a lunar eclipse, so the idea of something coming to an end in shadow or the beginning of an end in shadow. This, of course, is a beginning. It can be also someone or something like a situation eclipsed out. So maybe there is someone in authority, you know, a supervisor that is going to be eclipsed out, and you're going to, you know, it's going to bring in something new for you. So sometimes the eclipse affects us directly. Sometimes it is a person concerned by this house, and you're going to look back and say, oh yeah, that's when all that started. You know, that's when the seeds were sown type of thing, or that was sort of the beginning of that. When do we know is a question we often wonder. You know, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years, sometimes it is, you know, sometimes we can look back to last month's eclipse that was in Pisces. Sorry, I'm pointing to Aries, but it was in Pisces, and look for clues there. Sometimes we look to next month's new moon. We look to the full moon at the end of the month. Often I find it's very interesting to look at when a planet, one of the outer planets or interpersonal planets, so I call them the heavy hitters, hits the same degree. And that will be in July of 2025. Jupiter is going to be at 10 degrees of Capricorn. So I've already put that in my agenda, and I'm going to see what comes up then. I do have a whole video just on the eclipse where I take a little bit more of a deep dive in what this is going to mean for all of us, because it is on for the collective, a relational axis of first house, seventh house. So it's going to also affect our relationships. I'll link that in the description below. And just also Mercury, little trickster Mercury, is going to be conjunct all this. He's going to be right next to the sun and the moon, of course. So a lot of thinking with Mercury, our thought process, communications, we're examining options. We're looking at a lot of things. You know, it has our mental energy focused there as well. I wrote in my notes, play your cards close to your vest. This is the house associated with your sign, Capricorn. Don't take sides. Don't make a choice. You know, you're going to maybe be tempted to speak out or discuss things with others. That's very, very Mercury energy. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, or what is this about? You know, maybe discussing things related to success, or maybe something, how you can advance your idea of success. But again, you know, you're operating with information missing. So try to sort of hold off, you know, use Mercury's energy to think about a lot of things, take notes, talk to yourself, have the discussion with yourself, but sort of avoid speaking out too much, especially if it has to do with taking sides or taking position. Mercury is going to be close to the sun to the end of the first week of October, and then by the 13th, so your thoughts are going to shift from success to your 11th house. This has everything to do with your social circle, any group you belong to where there's an idea of common interest. It can be a band, it can be a sports team you're on, it can be an organization at work, a professional association. It can even be an online community as well. Venus is already there, and she will be there until the 17th. So these two won't conjunct, but they will be in the same sign. This is also our long-term goals as well. So again, Mercury has your thoughts turned towards that. Maybe you are discussing things. You're a little more vocal within your circle of friends, or again, that organization or group you belong to. Venus is all about relationships. Venus also rules romance. So first possibility, a romance emanating from a social circle, maybe someone who is a friend who becomes more than a friend, or maybe within this group you discover someone that you have more affinity with. It's the beginning of a romantic relationship. Maybe somebody introduces you to someone within a group. Maybe you're going to join a new group and you're going to hit it off with someone, and there's going to be a romance that's going to flourish there. It can just be more close relationships with whoever is in this social circle or this organization or this group. Venus in Scorpio can really see relationally below the surface. Scorpio is a very incisive sign, a water sign related to emotions, but always really able to see what's behind the facade or what's below the surface. So you might be seeing people behind their mask, or you might be seeing behind the mask more. You might make some interesting discoveries. At the same time, if you have to ask for something, this is a really good time because Venus, as I said, is very incisive into what is going on with others. So you're probably going to know how to approach them a little bit better. It can even be, I don't want to say underhanded or manipulative, but if you really need to get your way, Venus and Scorpio is the energy to do it. You're just really going to see what people are all about, and you're going to know how to approach them so much better. From the 12th to the 17th, Venus will oppose Uranus sitting in your 5th house. Everything to do with children, be they your children, someone else's children, romantic pursuits. Again, we're talking about romantic partners. It is all our creative pursuits as well. Whatever we do for fun and entertainment also. There's always an idea of conformity with the 11th house because we belong to a group or an association. So there's rules with an association. If you think of a professional association, there's the unspoken rules of the group, the norms of the group. As a sociology major, I can talk about that for quite a while, but the unwritten rules of the group. The 5th is very much about our individual self-expression, right? How we relate to children or raise children, or whether we even decide to have children or not, how we express ourselves in our romantic relationships. The 5th house is also sex. So how do we express ourselves sexually? What is our approach to that? How do we express ourselves creatively? What do we do for fun? So an opposition between those two. Uranus is very much about freedom, something new, something different, something unexpected and disruptive as well. So something might come up. Maybe you're just feeling more need for freedom. Maybe there's something going on here. Mercury has you thinking a lot about that. Venus, as I said, has you seeing, behind everybody's mask and below the surface. And you're just going to think, I got to be me a little bit more. This isn't working for me so much. But again, just do know it does bring disruption in relationships, especially because, Venus is all about relationships. And of course, Uranus is all about disruptions. Then by the 17th, Venus moves into your 12th house just after this opposition to Uranus. This, of course, very much our inner world, Capricorn, where we go to get quiet. There's an idea of seclusion and secretiveness. Anyway, things in secret with the 12th house, what we don't share with others. I would say Venus in the 12th can be very much about self-care. We're looking inwards. We're looking at relationships again, but more under the aspect of pattern, a subconscious pattern, inner world. So maybe you're not relating to others, but you're reflecting more on the effects of your relationships on you, especially after you've just emerged from Venus in your 11th house. There's also with this idea of secrecy and Venus relating to romance, a romance beginning in secret. It can be also another relationship, an alliance, of some sort, starting in secret, maybe because you don't want other people to know you are in a relationship with this person. Maybe you're just not ready to tell people yet. That same day, on the 17th, we're going to have a full moon in Aries, of course, across from the sun. This is fourth house of home and family. I always say family of origin, family of choice, the place you live. So it also rules real estate, homeland, where our roots are, where we feel we belong, very much in the broader sense. Could this give you some clues as to what the eclipse was about? Because of course it will sit across from the 10th. This is the, where I'm out in the world seeking success, as opposed to where I'm needed at home, or where I come from, or what I feel comfortable with. The idea of being out in the world, making our mark and forging ahead, and then coming home and kicking the door shut and feeling, sort of safe and secure and cozy at home, that idea of, shut the door on the world. But so this could be clues. Remember, the full moon highlights something, usually marks an ending or a culmination of some sort. Something that we don't want to do anymore. It could have to do with something in the 10th house, could have something to do with something in the 4th house. Just emotions run higher in general on a full moon. Again, on the 17th, so give yourself a few days on either side. It's at 24 degrees of Aries, by the way. So just don't get caught up in something emotional. It could be something flaring up in terms of family members as well, in relation to where you are out, advancing your career or advancing your success. Always the idea of, how much time do I devote here and how much time is required of me for family. Let's talk about Mars before we wrap this up. Mars sitting in your 7th house of relationships all month, has been there since last month. This is other. If the 1st house is self, the 7th is other. So significant others, committed partner, business partner. It can be exes, it can be rivals in the competition. When you think of what affects us as an individual, when you hear people say, my partnership has made me better, or, the competition was really stiff and I had to surpass myself, or even, exes define how we want to show up in relationships, either by what we don't want to do anymore, what we don't want it to be like, or what we do want it to be like. Just do know Mars is slowing down as he gets ready to retrograde on the 6th of December. The slowdown is slight. He enters pre-retrograde shadow on the 5th at 17 degrees of Cancer, slowing down slightly. It's going to be more of a slowdown in November, and even more so in December when he actually does station retrograde. So if you have to push ahead with something, do it now. I put, if you have to push ahead, do it now while Mars is on his last legs. But now, good time to forge ahead. If you're trying to really cement a business partnership, if you have to settle something with an ex, if there's competition, maybe you're in business or there's another form of competition, you really want to take them on dynamically and get ahead. Mars is very combative, very aggressive, very dynamic. So you have a lot of energy to get that done. Maybe you just want to take your committed partnership to another level. Really a lot of energy to get that done. And Mars is very physical, so you're really going to be getting the work done and doing whatever you have to do. Just do know that. I wanted to put it on everybody's radar, but this is sort of the time to do so, because as we head into November, and especially December, January, even into February, it's going to be more the reviewing, replanning phase, and just sort of, taking it a little slower and a little easier. And just before I end this, Capricorn, on the 22nd, the sun shifts into your 11th house. So again, just adding focus, maybe continuing the conversation of what Venus began there, but just adding focus to your 11th house. Maybe you are going to focus also on your long-term goals as well. So, a lot of energy there to think about that, push ahead with that, focus on that, sort of like your yearly check-in. And again, of course, it could conclude what Venus began. Maybe your yearly check-in is showing you something that isn't working within groups you belong to, or maybe, you've discovered everything is okay and there's just, minor changes or no changes at all to be made. So lovely, Capricorn. That is everything I wanted to tell you for October. I hope this was helpful. Drop me a line in the comments. Let me know what you think. Take care. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you in the next one.